Have you ever wondered why so many people seem to simply fade away in their early 80s, even when doctors can't find anything seriously wrong with them? It's a question that haunts families across America, watching their loved ones grow smaller and quieter with each passing year, as if some invisible force is slowly pulling the life right out of them. Picture this: millions of older adults sitting in their living rooms each evening, feeling like strangers in their own bodies. They've accepted the quiet lie that their time for joy, for pleasure, for feeling truly alive has passed. Society whispers that after a certain age, you should be grateful just to be breathing, that wanting more is somehow inappropriate or selfish. But what if this very disconnection from their own bodies, this gradual surrender of physical joy and intimacy, is actually stealing years from their lives? There's a hidden epidemic happening in our communities, one that no one talks about at family dinners or doctor visits. It's the silent tragedy of people who stop believing their bodies deserve love, attention, and yes, even pleasure. Tonight, you're going to discover why this disconnection might be the real reason so many never see their 83e anniversaire. Plus importantly, you'll learn about a gentle method that's helping people reclaim not just their health, but their right to feel vibrantly alive at any age. Number 1. Disconnection from physical pleasure. Martha sits by her bedroom window every morning, watching the world wake up while something inside her grows quieter each day. À 78 ans, elle se sent comme si elle vivait dans un corps qui ne lui appartient plus. The woman who once felt butterflies at her husband's touch, who once knew the simple joy of her own skin, now moves through life like a ghost inhabiting someone else's shell. This is the reality for millions of older adults who've been taught that physical pleasure is a young person's game. Somewhere along the way, they absorbed the cruel myth that desiring touch, intimacy, or even their own body's responses is inappropriate at their age. They've been conditioned to believe that once the children are grown and the wrinkles appear, they should gracefully step away from anything that makes them feel truly alive. But here's what's happening inside their bodies when they disconnect from physical pleasure. Their circulation slows down like a river losing its current. Hormones that once surged through their system begin to trickle to a stop. The neural pathways that connect pleasure to vitality start shutting down one by one. It's not just about missing out on intimacy. It's about their entire system beginning to power down, like a house where someone is slowly turning off all the lights. The tragedy is that this disconnection doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual surrender that feels almost noble at first. They tell themselves they're being mature, realistic, appropriate for their age. They don't realize they're actually starving their bodies of something as essential as oxygen or water. They don't understand that when they stop believing their bodies deserve pleasure and attention, they're essentially giving their life force permission to pack up and leave. The truth that no one wants to admit is this: when you stop engaging with your body as a source of joy and pleasure, you're not just aging gracefully. You're teaching every cell in your body that it's time to give up. And that's exactly what begins to happen, slowly but surely, until one day the spark that kept them going simply isn't strong enough anymore. Number 2. Les bienfaits de la santé de la satisfaction physique. Votre corps se souvient de ce que votre esprit a été enseigné à oublier. Every time you experience physical pleasure, something remarkable happens beneath your skin. Your heart pumps blood more efficiently to places that have been starved of circulation. Hormones that have been lying dormant suddenly wake up and begin flowing through your system like spring water after a long drought. When Eleanor, at 72, rediscovered her body's capacity for pleasure, she noticed something extraordinary within just a few weeks. The chronic coldness in her hands and feet began to disappear. The brain fog that had been clouding her thoughts started lifting. She found herself remembering names and faces with a clarity she hadn't experienced in years. Her doctor was puzzled by the improvement in her blood pressure and the renewed steadiness in her walk. What Eleanor experienced wasn't magic. It was biology doing what it does best when given the right signals. Physical pleasure triggers a cascade of healing responses throughout your entire system. Your brain releases endorphins, those natural painkillers that make you feel more resilient to life's challenges. Testosterone levels, even in women, receive a healthy boost that strengthens muscles and bones. Blood vessels dilate and carry oxygen to organs that have been running on half power. But perhaps most importantly, pleasure activates multiple regions of your brain simultaneously. The areas responsible for memory formation light up. The sections that govern decision-making sharpen. The networks that regulate emotion find their balance again. It's like turning on lights in a house where you've been stumbling around in darkness for years. Your brain doesn't retire from pleasure just because you've reached a certain age. In fact, it needs these activating experiences more than ever to stay sharp and engaged. When you deny your body these natural responses, you're not just missing out on feeling good. You're depriving your brain of the stimulation it needs to keep functioning at its best. The connection between physical pleasure and mental clarity isn't coincidental. It's one of nature's most elegant designs for keeping you vibrant and alive. Number 3. Identité de soi et connexion émotionnelle. Il y a un moment dans la vie de chaque personne âgée où elle se regarde dans le miroir et se demande elle-même, heartbreaking question, am I still worthy of love? Not just from others, but from themselves. When you've spent decades caring for everyone else, watching your body change, feeling society's subtle messages that your time for joy has passed, it's easy to forget that the person looking back at you deserves tenderness and care. Self-pleasure in later life isn't about seeking thrills or recapturing youth. It's about making a profound declaration to yourself. I am still here. I still matter. This body that has carried me through decades of life still deserves my attention and affection. When you touch yourself with kindness, when you take time to reconnect with sensations you thought were lost forever, you're not being selfish or inappropriate. You're practicing the most fundamental form of self-respect. Watch what happens to people who maintain this connection with their bodies. They start standing a little taller. Their eyes regain a spark that had been dimming for years. They begin making different choices about their health, their relationships, their daily activities. When you believe your body is still capable of pleasure and joy, you start treating it like something worth protecting and nurturing. This shift changes everything else. You find yourself choosing the stairs instead of the elevator because you want to feel your muscles working. You start preparing meals with more care because you're feeding someone you love. You reach out to friends more often because you remember what it feels like to be fully alive in your own skin. The simple act of honoring your body's capacity for pleasure becomes a gateway to honoring your whole life. The beautiful truth is that your body has been waiting patiently for you to remember this connection. It doesn't judge you for the years of neglect or the times you treated it like an inconvenience. The moment you return with gentle attention, it responds with gratitude. Every sensation, every moment of rediscovered pleasure is your body's way of saying, welcome home. This isn't about performance or comparison to younger days. This is about dignity, self-worth, and the radical act of believing you deserve joy at any age. Number 4. Misconceptions and social influence. Les mensonges ont commencé tôt et ont creusé profondément. Maybe it was a stern parent catching you exploring your body as a child, their shocked reaction teaching you that this natural curiosity was shameful. Maybe it was a religious upbringing that painted physical pleasure as sinful, especially for women. Or perhaps it was simply the accumulated weight of a society that whispers to older adults that their desires should politely disappear along with their youth. These messages didn't just shape your behavior. They rewired your brain to associate guilt with your body's most natural responses. Now, décennies plus tard, le seul fait de penser à se plaire lui-même suscite des sentiments d'embarras, d'égoïsme ou d'impropriété. You've been carrying around shame that was never rightfully yours, and it's been slowly poisoning your relationship with your own body. The most damaging myth of all is the one about conserving energy. How many times have you heard someone suggest that older adults should save their strength or not overexert themselves when it comes to physical intimacy? This well-meaning advice is actually backwards. Your body's systems, including your sexual response, operate on the principle of use it or lose it. When you withdraw from physical pleasure, you're not preserving anything. You're allowing vital functions to atrophy. Think of it like a garden. Si vous arrêtez d'arroser les plantes parce que vous pensez que vous conservez l'eau pour des usages plus importants, le jardin ne reste pas préservé dans des conditions parfaites. It withers. Your body's capacity for pleasure works the same way. Regular engagement keeps the pathways open, the response is active, the whole system healthy and responsive. The truth that society doesn't want to acknowledge is that sexual energy, even when expressed through self-pleasure, is one of the most powerful forces for maintaining vitality. It's not something to be ashamed of or set aside. It's not inappropriate or undignified at your age. It's medicine. It's maintenance. It's a celebration of the miraculous body that has carried you this far and still has so much more to offer. Breaking free from these misconceptions n'est pas seulement question de récupérer le plaisir. It's about reclaiming your right to feel fully alive in your own skin. Number 5. The Restoration Method. After 20 ans de travail auprès d'adultes âgés, le docteur Priya a développé quelque chose de révolutionnaire. Une méthode douce et systématique approche pour aider les gens à renouer avec leur corps sans honte, pression ou attentes irréalistes. She calls it the Restoration Method, and it's designed specifically for the unique needs and concerns of people who thought their time for physical pleasure had passed. The first step is preparation, and it's more important than you might think. This isn't about setting a romantic scene or creating performance pressure. It's about carving out sacred space for yourself in a world that constantly demands your attention for everyone else. You deserve a clean, comfortable environment where you won't be interrupted or judged. Dim les lumières dures. Put away your phone. This is your time to reconnect with yourself without the world's expectations pressing down on you. Relaxation comes next, and for many older adults, this is where the real healing begins. Your body has been holding tension for decades, carrying stress in muscles you forgot you had. Through slow, deliberate breathing and gentle movement, you begin to release the knots of worry and self-consciousness that have been blocking your natural responses. This isn't just physical relaxation. It's giving yourself permission to let go of the voices that say you shouldn't be doing this. The third step, awakening, is about rediscovering your body as a landscape of sensation rather than a collection of aches and limitations. With patient, mindful touch, you begin to map the places that still respond, that still hold capacity for pleasure. This isn't about rushing toward any particular outcome. It's about curiosity, about treating your body like a dear friend you haven't seen in years. Focused stimulation follows naturally, mais ce n'est rien de ce que vous pourriez vous souvenir des jours plus jeunes. This is about quality over quantity, presence over performance. Your body may respond differently now, and that's not a failure. It's evolution. The goal isn't to recreate past experiences, but to discover what pleasure feels like in this body, at this age with this accumulated wisdom. Finally, integration brings everything full circle. This is where you honor what just happened, where you thank your body for its willingness to respond, where you acknowledge the courage it took to reclaim this part of yourself. This step transforms what could be just a physical act into a profound statement of self-love and acceptance. Number 6. Common challenges and solutions. The first time Robert tried the restoration method at 74, he was ready to give up after 10 minutes. Nothing felt the way he remembered. His body seemed sluggish, unresponsive, foreign. He had expected to flip a switch and return to sensations from 30 years ago. When that didn't happen, shame flooded in like a tide, telling him he was too old, too broken, too far gone. This is where most people falter, in that vulnerable space between expectation and reality. Your body isn't the same as it was decades ago, and that's not a failure. It's a fact. The mistake is measuring today's experience against yesterday's memories. Your body has accumulated wisdom, sensitivity, and depth that your younger self never possessed. The pleasure available to you now is different, often richer and more meaningful, but it requires patience to discover. The journey isn't linear. Some days you'll feel reconnected and alive. Other days you'll feel nothing but frustration. This is normal. This is part of the process. Your nervous system is rebuilding pathways that have been dormant for years. That takes time. Each attempt, even the ones that feel unsuccessful, is teaching your body to remember what it once knew instinctively. Performance pressure is the enemy of pleasure at any age, but it's especially destructive for older adults who are already battling self-doubt. The moment you start focusing on specific outcomes, or comparing yourself to some imagined standard, you've stepped out of the healing process and into a competition you can't win. The goal isn't to perform, it's to connect, it's to feel, it's to honor your body exactly as it is right now. Shame will visit you during this journey. It will whisper that you're too old for this, that it's inappropriate, that you should be focusing on more age appropriate activities. When shame shows up, meet it with compassion. Remind yourself that every sensation, every moment of pleasure, every rekindling of joy in your body is an act of health and self care. You're not being selfish, you're being wise. The beautiful truth that emerges from this process is that age doesn't end your story with pleasure and vitality, it transforms it. The man who felt broken and unresponsive at 74 can discover new depths of sensation and connection at 75. The woman who thought her body was finished surprising her can find herself laughing with delight at sensations she never knew existed. Your body is still capable of healing, of responding, of bringing you joy. It starts with a single decision to treat yourself with the tenderness you deserve. Tonight, nous avons discuté de quelque chose que la plupart des gens ne veulent jamais discuter. The quiet way so many lives end, not because of disease or accident, but because somewhere along the way, they stopped believing their bodies deserved love and attention. We've uncovered the truth that society doesn't want you to know, that disconnecting from physical pleasure isn't dignified aging. It's slow surrender, but you now understand that your body hasn't given up on you, even if you've given up on it. Every hormone, every nerve pathway, every circulation system is still there, waiting patiently for you to remember that pleasure isn't a privilege of youth. It's a birthright that belongs to you as long as you draw breath. The restoration method we've shared isn't about recapturing your 20s. It's about honoring the person you are right now, with all your wisdom, your scars, your accumulated grace. When you reconnect with your body through gentle, shame-free practices, you're not just improving your health. You're declaring that your life still has chapters left to write. Your age doesn't disqualify you from joy. Your wrinkles don't make you unworthy of pleasure. Your slower pace doesn't mean your story is ending. It means you finally have the time and wisdom to savor experiences that younger people rush through without truly feeling. Which of these truths did you most need to hear today? The comments below are a safe space to share your thoughts, even if they feel vulnerable. Si ce message vous a résonné, partagez-le avec quelqu'un qui a besoin d'entendre qu'il est encore digne d'amour et de soins. Your like helps us reach more people who are quietly giving up on themselves too soon. Remember, every sunrise you see is proof that your story n'est pas fini. Your body is still your faithful companion, ready to surprise you with its capacity for healing and joy. The question isn't whether it's too late. The question is whether you're ready to begin again.